Hi everyone, welcome back to Mirror Mind. Today I have a first time guest called Tabang, a very good friend of mine. I'm going to let him self introduce, do the introduction. I think he has much more detail than I do, but all I can say is a very interesting human being. I've had 2 or 3 discussions with him, and I thought it should be a good idea to not be selfish and share it with the rest of the world. Tabang, please, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, this is Tabang Malibu. I sell food and alcohol for living. Then I quit the so-called school professions and all of that because I felt like it was work for me. So I followed my passion, which now pays me handsomely, I have to say.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, that's good. See, as I told you, I never really know the direction of where we're going with this, because I feel every time when I try to think too much about this, I stumble upon myself, and I'm sure it's the same for the guest as well. So I never really give a specific topic, but I pick up 1 or 2 things on the spot. Maybe as you just introduce yourself, or maybe on the way. Because I'm late, then I'm trying to figure out what the heck is happening. So that's how I come up with the subject.
Okay.
But before we dive into, you just said something very interesting, passion. I think we should talk about passion. But
Okay.
I want to dive into your business world first, a little bit. So you sell food and alcohol. Well, you've got a restaurant
Yes, I
and a
do.
bar. By the way, for all of you, it's called Shaguma Cafe.
Shaguma Garden Cafe,
Very, very.
located in Midrand, Kraton Center, floor number 87.
Yeah, it's a very interesting cafe, very good crowd over there. I invite you to join them. How do you run a business with? Well, I know you put a lot of emphasis into integrity and righteousness.
True.
That's something I picked up from you as we were talking. How do you manage to run a business and making sure you keep those two together?
How do I manage to run the business
Yeah, while being integral.
and keeping integrity?
Yeah.
It's
Without stepping on your employees.
It's quite difficult, I have to say, at the start. But just like when the plane takes off, it consumes a lot of fuel until it gets to the cruise mode. Then it's less. So if you practice to live out the best of you with integrity each day, at the start, you clash with people, the employees too. But as you keep going, be consistent, then it becomes easy. Yes.
All right, so would you say that your employees love you?
They adore me.
How would you know?
I know. I'm an energy animal.
Mm.
I know because I relate to them from human level. And then everyone is clear of what they have to do or how they participate in the business. And if you don't do that what you're there to do, fortunately, you have to leave. Yeah.
So all your employees, I think I'm gonna go ask some of them. I'm sure some of them hate you.
If you hate me, I would say you hate the truth. The only thing you can hate me of, it's my errors. As we know, every human being has got errors. We do make mistakes, which is not intentional, I would say. But if you're more willing to learn and grow from mistakes,
Yeah.
then life becomes easy.
Would you say you're truthful at all times, or only when it suits you?
At all times. At all times.
Yes.
When it comes to my business, yes, at all times. But sometimes I'll be late because I woke up late. but I apologize. Sometimes I simply don't have to explain to them that I woke up late. Yeah. But I apologize to everyone when I'm late.
So running the business, is there any passion behind that, or has it become some sort of a habit or a necessity?
I think let's first of all explain what passion is. How do you understand passion?
For me, passion feels like the driving force for any action you're partaking in. So if you're passionate about, let's say, cars, there's tremendous driving force pushing you in that direction constantly.
True story. Oh, I understand. Let's put it this way. All of us as human beings, we eat and then we have to go excrete whatever that we take into our system without us complaining about it. It's our second nature, basically. So for me, I relate such to a passion. I love animals because they're closest to nature. For instance, if your dog, if you own any, gets pregnant, they don't know nothing about children whatsoever. The moment they give birth, they become mothers who are overly protective on their puppies up to a certain point. So in them, the instincts kick in. They become passionate about their puppies only to a certain point. Beyond that point, it doesn't exist anymore. But us as human beings, when you say you're passionate about something, for me, it's something that you can do with your eyes closed. And beyond you doing such a thing, you know, in so doing, you're fulfilling a higher purpose.
So then, let's say love is involved in passion. Would you have a passion without loving that?
I would say they are mutually. No.
They're not.
No. You
So
can't
you can be passionate about something you don't love.
No. I'm saying you can't be passionate about something you don't love. Yeah. In other words, love and passion are.
Yeah. Could we say that love is the trigger of passion?
What is love first?
Okay, I have a very harsh definition of love. It doesn't necessarily fall into the current description of what love is. For instance, for me, love is not romance.
Yeah, true story.
Romance is
something else.
Yeah, it's more of sentimentality. I don't quite have a direct description, but it feels like love is when there's a cessation of division on all aspects. So for instance, if I say I love you, I've forgotten about myself, kind of. I've become you in a way. See what I'm trying to say?
I hear you.
Because
I
as
don't
long as
subscribe to it.
as long as I'm focusing on me, as long as I have a feeling of the self, which is me, selfishness is inevitable in one way or another. Then I can like you because you give me a certain kind of feeling, because you give me some money. I don't know. So as long as I have a sense of self, it seems like love is not there. But when I am not, when I've kind of forgotten about myself, then I can say that I truly love someone or something.
I'm of different opinion. Now let's go back. What comes first? Is it passion and then love, or are they coupled?
Yeah. It's okay. Love.
Are they intertwined?
Yeah, they're intertwined, but on different dimensions. It feels like love is on a deeper level than passion. Why I'm saying that? Because you can love something but not be passionate about it.
Is it love or like?
What's the distinction?
There is a difference.
Yeah, like what is liking to you? Appreciating.
Yeah.
But what is love
Appreciation of the existence of something.
to you? Yeah.
My understanding.
Yeah.
So, me, as Tabang, I believe passion comes first. And with the consistent emphasis of passion, then we end up loving. And I would say, I disagree with you. Please, I'm not imposing. I'm
No.
different opinion.
Yeah.
I would say, you can't love if you don't have love. You can't give anything that you don't have. So when you say it's being selfish, I am of different opinion. You can't give something you don't have. In most cases, people give much of what they don't have, which is a negative energy. In other words, they express to others that's what they feel from within. It's different with love for me.
So for me, selfishness is not, again, I have a different definition of selfishness. So people have this idea of being selfish as, I have this, I don't want to share. Right? I'm selfish. That's the definition of selfishness. When you think about yourself.
That's ordinary thinking, I think.
Yeah. So for me, selfishness is the very fact of you acknowledging that you are is the self in action. That's being full of self.
Yes, you have to be.
Yeah, well, you can't, even if you don't want to, you are always selfish. Can you ever think of an instance where you acted
in a selfish manner?
In a selfless manner and knowing that it's selflessness?
Many times.
Like what?
Many times. Let's go back first on, I believe in being selfish.
Yeah.
In
well,
being
it's
selfish.
Natural.
Many times we are taught to go against it. For instance, I have my water. It's not a need for you. It's a want. But before I satisfy my want too, I can't satisfy your wants. I should start first with mine. Which many people confuse it to be selfish.
Yeah, well, they see it as a negative thing.
Yeah, they see it as a negative thing. And maybe that's why we're seated at some instances where we are today.
So, but now selflessness. When have you ever been selfless?
Oh, yesterday.
Like, what was happening?
Which became very stupid. In a way, it's stupid.
Yeah.
I know I'm cornered with finances.
Yeah.
My cousin's car has a problem. Because I can solve that, maybe I could have waited. But me waiting, I'm thinking, no, I can assist her. But in me assisting her, I don't satisfy my wants. And that's done. So now I bear the pain of not meeting up of what I have to satisfy for me.
So you see, let me show you that actually you were helping yourself still. It was still a selfish movement. So you see, yourself has extensions. So there's the tiny little me within ourselves, right? Me, my past, my likes, my dislikes, all that. Then there's the extension of that, which is family, for instance. You call it, you don't say family, you say my family. So it still falls under that box of me. So that you helping your cousin is you helping yourself. That's why you're looking for some sort of satisfaction still. There's a bit of subtle selfishness in operation. I find it very hard to see a selfless action. You could be selfless, but the very instance you are aware of having been selfless, that's selfishness in action. You see, basically I'm talking about thinking itself.
Mhm.
Any movements, any action coming out of thought, which
Mhm.
is pretty much our entire lives, right, is a movement of the self.
I hear you, but I'll go back to the
Mm.
point that you cannot give anything that you do not have. You see that cup of coffee that is there? Don't give any if it doesn't overflow.
Mhm.
Same as your car. When you get a warning light that you need to fill the petrol, if you don't fill it up, what happens?
Yeah, so that's what people call selfishness.
No, that's self-care.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that's what people call selfishness.
That's ordinary thinking.
About, ordinary thinking. No,
Yeah.
here there's no ordinary.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
that thought that comes from other people is ordinary thinking.
Yeah, and also we're forgetting about the ordinary. Here, actually, there's nothing ordinary. We are learning. That's actually the whole point of the podcast.
Uh-huh.
It's to start from a point of really not knowing, kind of.
Uh-huh.
Try to fight against established order in a way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so forget about the ordinary people. I don't think we are. So people call that selfishness. We understand it's not selfishness.
Yeah.
It's, at least not negative. It's natural, and it's the correct order of things. You want to help yourself first.
True.
But now I'm trying to show you that actually there's never been an action where you acted for someone else's benefit. It's always been a selfish movement. And not in a negative way. It's a positive way. In the sense that when you think that, oh no, I helped her instead of helping myself, you were still helping yourself.
Yes, I was in a way, but I'm just saying if that act or action was delayed, then I wouldn't be squeezed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mhm.
I fully understand what you put out comes back twofold, positive or negative. But I'm just saying that could have been delayed, at least Friday, which is tomorrow, not on Monday.
So what's the driving force behind that action, for instance? Whether it's selfish or not selfish? Because we're trying to find out the driving force behind passion, right?
Uh-huh.
So perhaps before we go into passion, can we find out what's the driving force behind any action at all that you make?
There's many motives.
We want to go, let's look at all those different leaves and go to the root of what the driving force of action in humanity, in a human being. So the many motives would be what? Fear, pleasure.
It can be fear, it can be pleasure, it can be sympathy.
Or empathy.
Empathy is a higher word. In many instances, we act for sympathy, which I don't really believe in.
You don't believe in sympathy?
I don't believe in sympathy.
Yeah.
I believe in empathy. Sympathy is pretty sorry for me mentality. I don't.
Okay, so sympathy, fear, pleasure, pain, jealousy,
Jealousy
anger.
too, anger. There's a couple. I mean, there's a few. Now they escape my mind.
Okay, so no.
Also for ill gains, future ill gains.
Yeah.
Or also for power, dominance, or to be seen.
What?
To be seen.
Oh, to be seen,
Yeah.
to be acknowledged. So can
Or
we?
for fame, notoriousness. There's a whole lot.
All right. So can we say that all those different sentiments, all those feelings, are triggered by a thought?
Yeah, all begins in the mind, not?
Mhm.
I think so.
So then, what are your thoughts? Where do your thoughts come from?
Your existence.
Hmm?
Your existence.
What is my existence?
I don't mean you as a person.
Yeah, no, I mean as a human
the
being.
existence, the higher power, the power that is all above us, the higher
Which
force.
Yeah. See,
It
maybe
is.
maybe that's the force we're talking about, the driving force.
The higher force.
Which is what?
So for me, which is, they call it God, they call it Allah, many more things. I call it the higher power. So now going into what forces the action, so the results of the acts, for me, I say, the more you are aligned to your higher power, the more good steps you take. By good steps, the thoughts become more clearer, so the actions that you take always bear palatable results. The more you deviate from the higher power, the more of this so ill-gained characters attracts or guides your way, which definitely at the end will give you non-palatable results.
So let's keep the higher power higher. Let's deal with our own little me first. You said the more you align yourself with the higher power, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested in that self. I think that's the barrier to the higher power. It feels that tiny little me.
Is that so?
We can explore that. It could be or it could not be. So, your thoughts. Would you say that you are thought?
Am I thought myself? Yes. With the higher power thought of me, I got created. That's why I exist.
How do you know that's not a creation of thought itself? Because you're thinking about it.
Yes, I do think about it.
Yeah. Have you ever been aware of anything else than thinking?
No, I haven't exercised that power yet.
Yeah, no, that's look
I
at
haven't.
it. Yeah, so basically, all you know is thought, and that's all you are. You can say yes, no, that's all I am. It's thoughts. That's thinking. Or you could say no. Come on, what are you saying?
I won't say yes or no if I don't understand. I need to first understand.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah, look at it.
I am thinking.
Yeah.
I am thinking. I'm thinking actually, perhaps it is, but I've got some thoughts or questions, I have to say.
Yeah.
Where do questions come from? From thoughts, right?
Yeah, so let's see what happened, this exercise we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear something that I say, right?
Mm-hmm.
The analysis starts automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't start that analysis if you don't understand, first of all, what is being said. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to grasp my thinking, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very, very subtle. There's the understanding of English, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
There's you recalling your entire past, because English is a record of the entire past, what you've learned.
True.
Yeah, you making images in your mind. All that operation happening. That's what we call thinking, and that's what you call me. So you are a reaction. You are constantly reacting. You've never done any action besides the reaction. You see what I'm trying to say?
I hear what you're saying, but okay. Is that so? That's triggering, actually.
Yeah, well, that's you to see that you've never acted. You've always been a reaction.
I don't agree fully.
Isn't this a reaction?
I am reacting to what you say.
Yeah. Now, look at all the instances, perhaps in your past and all that. Do you see that it's always been a reactionary movement?
Not entirely.
Okay, let's show me. I'm not seeing the opposite.
Not entirely. There are certain things that came into existence through you.
Like what?
For one, building a cup.
Building a cup.
Yeah.
Alright, so can you look at the
You
process?
take the soil, the clay soil.
Yeah.
You bend it up, you shape it up, and there comes a cup.
Yeah, okay. Too bad. I think I should have brought. There's a book I was reading. It shows the evolution of man in terms of technology. You know, the whole paleontological age, Stone Age, and all that. So basically, building a cup is its erection movements in the sense that there's, first of all, you've drank water.
Mm-hmm.
You know, animals go right to the river and they drink, right? Then monkeys started using their own fingers to make some sort of whatever thing, you know? And then eventually people figured that you can actually make something that can hold on its own. You don't have to use your hands anymore. So my point is, you see something, just like a kid sees something, then learns from it, and then can modify whatever that is learned. So without knowledge, without you grasping something, you can't create something, what you call recreate.
I agree, partially. Not yet.
No, you must
not
look
yet.
at it, yeah.
I think that's quite correct in this sense. Even in business, for business to survive, it's for us to always establish the need that we have to feed. And it evolves. But to say it's all reactionary. Now, let's go back. Let's be scholars now. How come there is new ideas that have been birthed that never existed before? For instance, medical technology.
Like why the
Medical technology. Now, so many things can be done, which couldn't be done before.
Yeah. So perhaps can we just look at maybe a car or an airplane? What triggered that in man? Is it not? Was it not the outcome of looking at things flying?
A bird, for instance,
A bird, for instance. So that's why you see actually that some of the best technologies are the technologies that's almost copied perfectly the animal. So if there's anything that you want to do, recreate, you got to look at what has been.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that one.
So that's what I mean by the reaction. So you gather information, then you modify the information. You call that creation. So an artist would go and start painting.
Is it modification? No. Let's go back to basics of the computer science. There is input, processing, and output.
So there's input first.
Yeah, there's input first. There has to be. You have to know something, and you think such a thing can be done in a certain way. So it has to be processed. So you call that modification.
Yeah, you call that modification. Why?
No.
That is a modification.
Yes, it is. I agree with you. So when you say it is a reaction, by reaction, do you mean me punching which one is it?
Yeah,
by
reaction in the sense
you
that
mean chemical?
No,
where you mix up things,
so
or is it you?
Output is only possible by input. So something pushes it. So there's this, then that comes out.
Something has to happen before.
Before. So the thing that happens
output.
after is always a reaction. So the action, then reaction, cause and effect, kind of. You can put it just like that. there's no effect without a cause.
True.
So we the effects, kind of what we do, our daily business is basically what you do. You wake up, your habits. If you look at your daily life, actually, you can notice some patterns. It's habits, as subtle as they are, but it's habits. You wear shoes because you've worn shoes. You've worn shoes before.
Mm-hmm.
Same for clothes.
Mm-hmm.
You go to church because you've been to church. Not sure if you go to church.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so we are two then. So you talk because you've heard people talking.
What about those that cannot talk but they can hear?
Yeah, it's the same thing. You hear because what are you hearing first? You're hearing someone talk.
Yeah, there's people who are unable to talk
Yeah.
but they can hear.
Yeah, because
So they use the
some
sign
other
language.
senses are working.
Yeah.
Some actually can't even hear and see, but they feel. So
True.
you feel because something has been thrown at you. So what you say, basically what I'm trying to say is consciousness as we know it
Mm-hmm.
is a record of something that has been kept within the mind.
True.
You wouldn't feel, why I'm calling it a record, it's very interesting. I was watching a documentary. So basically we'll see what you're looking at here
Mm-hmm.
is a past version of what's actually happening. Because it takes some milliseconds for your brain
To process
to
it.
process the information. So what you're looking at is the information. You're looking at the record.
Mm. Yeah, I hear what you say. But to some extent, I believe that there's a step further, which you and I can't define.
Yeah, because we are not there. That's the step where the self can't be. The self is
So,
the record.
do you think it's laziness that we can't reach that
Yeah,
far?
it's laziness, but mostly fear.
Do you think so?
Mm.
I believe there's a higher force over all of us.
You see,
Strongly so.
believing that there's a higher force over all of us is a trick of the mind. I'm not saying there is or there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying you are comfortable talking about a higher force,
Mm-hmm.
not meeting the higher force itself. By talking about it, you are making sure, it's there.
I shifted away.
Yeah, shift it away.
Mm.
See, like right now, right? Do you notice you are trying to grasp now, you're trying to think constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You can't help that mechanism. And that mechanism is triggered by things gone, things past. What boss just said, what you know, your experiences, your knowledge, your pride perhaps, your ignorance sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
So why do we give it so much value? Something that is so futile, something gone, which we call me, I. Therefore,
Because you are in the now, you still live. And I would say yet again,
Mm.
I believe, or maybe I should even say I feel, I believe and feel that that extent of thinking, if we reach it, do you think would it still be existing?
see, now that's the source of that's the driving force of life. That's why life is.
If you knew when you're gonna die,
No, look what I just said first. Look at it.
yeah, I hear you.
You see why you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because you are constantly rejecting that. Therefore, you are I, me. Like the question you just asked is very important. If you reach that, quote, reach that, would we still exist?
My question.
That's a very important question.
So, my answer to my own question is maybe it's laziness, but I don't think so. I think because we are a subset of this existence, there is definitely no way, as we have seen, you can still see, those who pretend to be the source of life, or they mimic, they perish, even without them being the so-called God, in other words. So yes, there's a higher force.
Can you say anything about that can you think about the higher force?
Many times, all the time.
So then, if you're thinking about the higher source, you mean you've been in contact with that?
Constantly.
How so? What's your contact with the higher force?
My submission into my existence, fully. My full submission into my existence.
Can you not submit?
Yes, you can.
How so?
Yes, so many people don't submit.
Like,
How so?
what's the example of not submitting? How would you describe that?
If you participate negatively towards the ecosystem, then you are not submitting to your existence. For I believe that all of us were created for a purpose.
What purpose do you think everyone has a different purpose?
Yes. We
and
all
that's the
play
ultimate.
different roles.
Yeah,
in life.
like what? Maybe your purpose is to be a very good businessman, right? Maybe mine is to be a very good killer. In that sense, is that what you mean?
Partly. Yeah, partly.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So the driving force behind all of the so-called different purposes, could we say that it's for the purpose of life?
I think
Without that driving force, there's no life.
No, there isn't. There isn't.
So then that's the answer to your question. Should you reach there, would there still be life? So that's why you've got a business then. That's why you drink water. So you see what happens. This is what happens now. You have an idea of what we're talking about because we're thinking about it.
I agree.
Yeah. Then thoughts. So that's why we think, basically. Like I was saying, that's why we act. Anything that goes towards that is succumbing into that. I call it nothingness, but there's life to it. The way I look at it, there's not life to it.
Why do you call it nothingness?
It's a place I'm just saying place. It's a place where there's no thing, don't imagine that nothing as some blank, dark thing. It's a place where there's no a single division. Because you see, for there to be something, there must be an entity observing at that thing. So there must be a division. That's why there's something. But if there was never a division, if something is entirely full, it's something that can never even know itself. It cannot even be aware of itself. Therefore, it would be a very good idea to split itself into tiny different things and call itself Tabang and a dog, maybe. See what I mean?
I hear what you say. Triggering thoughts, I have to say.
So that passion of yours is an escape.
I don't believe so. It is not an... No, it's not.
What is it then? If what pushes that, if what drives the passion is what we're talking about.
You're saying, what if that what drives the passion is what we're
Because
talking
out
about
of that nothing
exists?
yeah, out of that nothing, this what you call existence is, right? That passion is, that anger is, that habits, that bad habits or good habits of yours is. Life is, basically. So passion, it seems, although good, although it's, I think, first of all, people that live in this world without a passion, I think they have a very hellish life, I can say.
I agree.
Yeah.
I fully agree.
If you don't have something that
To live out for.
yeah, to put all that energy that is denying
Yes.
nothing, to drive it to,
It's sad.
it must be destructive.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Hence, I go back to say this higher power was very economical with good brains to put in human beings. You don't think so? The world wouldn't be where it is
I think
if
there's,
human beings could think independently.
but you see, that's the thing. It's so hard. I mean, your entire life is a program.
True.
So, I mean, for someone to think independently, I mean, that's you asking someone to die to everything. Basically, you're asking him to go to that, which we're talking about.
Hence,
So, deprogram himself to stand alone, basically.
hence I say, so many human beings are dead yet they're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree?
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that.
So many human beings are dead
Have
yet
you
they're
ever
still
noticed
alive.
when you're talking, and I notice it sometimes at your cafe there as well,
Mhm.
if you sit in a crowd of people, right, they start talking. They talk nothing else but the past, what has been.
Which is exhaustive.
Yeah, of course it's existing.
Which is exhaustive.
And then sometimes they play a different game of projecting a so-called future by twisting what has been to them. So it says, you know what? I'm going to remarry. But that's just the agony of having divorced before. You see what I'm trying?
I hear you.
You see? So that's still the past in action.
At least there's a move.
No, the
At
movement
least
is
that
the same.
past trick out there. It's not the same. It's every human being is unique, like I said.
No, can you think of something new? Can you project something that you don't know of? I mean, you can project a marriage, right? Like a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
But that's knowledge. That's because you know.
But you don't know my particular one.
Yeah, but how particular is yours? What can you can think of? Okay, well, this time I'll put red, right? Red color everywhere. My next wedding, right?
No, I don't agree with you. The houses.
Mm.
If I say I'm going to build a house, so how is that revisiting the past? Yet the house I'm talking about has not even been designed yet.
Yeah, we can go into detail of that. Or you project building a house because you know what a house is.
Uh-huh.
You can project building a house that has this shape or that shape
Uh-huh.
because there's been seeing of what shape is.
Uh-huh.
You can basically projection means taking something back and putting it front. You know, just like the projectors.
Uh-huh.
You can't
Yeah.
walk without that
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So there's no projection that doesn't come from the past.
So
Anything new is discovered, not thought about or done by man.
according to your statement,
No, it mustn't be according to me. It's either
Oh,
so
let
or
me
not.
understand.
Yeah.
I don't fully. Let me put it this way. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So we humans, we can't bring new things into existence.
We just discovered them.
I don't agree.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it.
Microscope,
Mm.
for one, for labs, the cameras, all of these things, did they exist before today?
It's a natural evolution. It was one thing, one discovery led to another, to another, to another, to another. So, the story of, let's say, phone, the camera phone,
Mm-hmm.
it's only possible because of the guys that discovered, back in the days, those huge ass
Yes.
things. Yeah. And before then, I think it was, for that to be possible, you have to be able to play with lights and mirrors and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And mirror is something that was discovered also. But you see, when a kid passes or a dog passes in front of a mirror,
Mm-hmm.
First time discovering, he doesn't even know that it's his own reflection. So, but with time, discover that this material reflects something that is in front of it. So it seems like it's gradual discoveries that we think we invented. I think if you go in science, it will be hard to look at it. Maybe look at your normal day-to-day life.
Mm-hmm.
See if you ever make anything new. Or you're just an expert, a con artist at modifying things.
No, I can come up with a new dish.
Yeah, like what? So you're already
I
thinking
can
the
mix-
chickens and...
I can mix whatever that already exists
Yeah,
to come up with a new something that was never done before.
yeah. So that's what you call invention, basically. Modifying what's already existed. You're thinking of paprika and then, chicken and then salt. But now you say, what about if I put meat, chicken, paprika, and all this together? Because there's knowledge of meat and all of that. Otherwise, you can't move. If you didn't have knowledge, you can't even literally move from one step to another.
That
Because
I
even your
accept.
own DNA, right?
That
is
I accept.
knowledge. Yeah.
That I accept, but I still am not convinced with the fact that we as humans, we can bring new inventions.
There's an example Brennan once used. Said you can think of a new color, right? Can you think of a new color?
From the spectrum of colors,
Yeah.
you think there's any more that can still be established?
It could be.
think so.
Perhaps we are not even looking at the entire spectrum of color. Maybe because we're limited. I don't know, with our own eyes and stuff. But would you be able to imagine a new color? Project a new color in your mind.
I haven't done the exercise. Maybe I can
Well,
if I put my mind into
we have
it.
time. Go ahead.
Maybe I can. Okay, that would be on the follow-up of the next conversation we're going to have.
No, so basically, I can tell you already. I have tried. You can't. And you see what you...
Why do you say I can't? I don't believe in the word you
No,
can't.
well, I don't believe in it. Well, you look at it. I'm saying I've looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that it's possible. Because you see, the very fact of you trying to even put a color up there in your mind, you really have the impression of looking, right? You're attempting to look at something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know why that's possible? Because you used to looking. You've been looking all these years. So you can't look at anything like a new color without repeating that action of looking.
I believe that,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's why I'm saying. So even if you attempt, I don't know, the color where you kind of, I'm thinking red already, because you have to put something that has been done there. Even the act of imagining, of projecting, there's that implicit thing of you looking.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
For you to bring up anything else, you have to go through the experimentation.
Yeah.
You experiment, and the results will tell you still falling back or this is not.
Yeah.
Just
So we are
like-
guided, basically we are guided. It's very arrogant for a human being to say that I created something.
If you go back to my statement right from the word go, I did say all our acts are the results of how aligned we are to our higher power. So I would not say it's me. I would say this came because I exist through the higher force I've been
Yeah.
talking about. Yes, I agreed. We wrote for human beings to say, I created this. But I think it would only be fair to say, because I exist, in him is me. And through
the-
him,
Yeah.
this was created.
Yeah, see, why I don't like to think about higher power and them.
Hmm.
Because, you see, we're so programmed, so limited in our
Thinking.
Thinking itself is limited. See, for instance, automatically, by reflex, you're saying him, or you have to say her, or you have to say that. See, all that is the result of thinking. You are still really battling with that thinking. You don't want to let it go. Therefore, anything that you can come up with there is thinking. So there's no real contact with that. I know it's you might feel like it's because you want comfort, perhaps, but if you don't die to that thinking process of yours, which is you, if you don't die, that can't be.
Oh, yeah.
So it seems like passion, coming back to passion. People that are passionate about something, it's people that are so dead to themselves. I know dead to themselves sounds rather negative, but it's not in that aspect. And so they deserve it. It's like kids, when you give them a toy,
Yeah.
that's the toy absorbs them. Literally, they are not the toy. Only the toy is. So the same way for cooking, a very good cook who's really passionate loves cooking. He's so absorbed with the cutting of tomatoes that it's really
Yeah.
something
True.
beautiful is coming out
True.
of that. Yeah. Without that, I don't see any beauty at all. If you don't have that humility of dying to what you think you know, what you're thinking.
Immersing yourself into. Yeah.
Mm.
To some extent, yes, I hear you.
Mm.
You have to immerse yourself into whatever that drives you. You have to have a drive.
Mhm.
I agree.
Otherwise, everything else is repetitive. That's why we have addictions, actually. That's why we need our coffees, our cigarettes,
A whiskey.
a whiskey. Because you see, it gives you at least that shudder feeling of forgetting about yourself. So you're forcing to get to the other, what you're calling higher power. Yeah, but I highly doubt it will accept you in that manner. You just probably die.
Why?
Because you see, if you haven't seen how pitiful you are, which means there's a bit of arrogance in your day-to-day life, which can be very well camouflaged, as in, selflessness or seriousness or what, Human beings have so many tricks to put themselves on a pedestal.
Mm.
But if you see through that movement, seeing that actually most of the time you just, basically you are some sort of a reactionary machine, kind of. And from moment to moment, there seems to be something new sparking in you, which causes passion, which causes all of that. Mm-hmm. So if you don't really see how limited you are as a human being, you are bound to fall in all these other mischiefs, and
I agree.
Yeah, which is our society, basically, right?
I agree.
So the reason I started this, that's actually the aim, is through having this discussion with someone or anyone listening to this, is I hope that someone could indulge in that exercise. With, see all the barriers you have, how, because, this thing of me, this image, this idea of how I have to be, how I have to be seen, perceived, is so ingrained in us that we probably fight our, higher power constantly. Probably 99% of our energy goes into camouflaging that, because we're building up.
How else do you think it could have been, or it should be exercised?
First, I don't think it should be exercised any other way. If it's happening, I feel there's an inevitability to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I started with that whole the driving force behind what we call life. Why? Basically, why life? Mm-hmm. So there's an inevitability to what's happening to us. We can apparently modify it. You can be a little bit better or a little bit worse than who you are. But that's still really coming from the driving force itself, that's which we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the way I look at it, if you have tiny contact with that death in your daily life, constantly, right? Know that you must train. That's why people do. That's why they go lock themselves in churches and mosques and rituals.
Mm-hmm.
All these craziness, because they want to. They figured, look, I have to be so serious about this that I leave everything that the world has given. So they leave all this beauty here to go hide in some caves. But yet, what happens? They take the thought in those caves.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having that contact in your daily life without making it a job, something that comes into operation.
How would we have it in this red race life that you live?
Anyone here, the way I look at it, we are all screwed. It's finished. It's too late. You can't have that and be Tabang. Consciousness, as you know it, can't be. There's something is in operation. Now, if you see it, right, and I see it, then we can start having a discussion from that level.
Mm-hmm. I think it's possible.
Well, I hope it's possible.
I think it
because
is
everything goes against that. Would you not agree? In your business, you see how much reaction you have to do on a daily basis.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. All those employees of yours, I wonder how you even manage them. But there must be a lot of, it's so basically life as we know it seems to be conflict. You are constantly trying to put order in your life. Yet you are the most disorderly person in life.
in all eggs, actually.
Yeah.
It is a conflict. To exist where we are competing for basically let me put it in simple terms, the food, we are competing for consumption. Yet the consumption is enough for all of us.
Everyone is obsessed by me.
Great.
Yeah, see, people keep on doing it because they're not serious. Like you're saying, they're lazy. Intellectually, at least. Because if you really look at it, right, you discover that, well, I'm selfish. That's who I am. And the reason I'm selfish is because of me, the past. All that I've acquired. I want more food because I know of death or starving.
Mm-hmm.
I want jewelries because not only it looks good in the eyes, but also the perception of other people. So let me have more. Let me look better than the others. So any action of man, which is I think most of our actions, that is running away from death. From that nothing, not me being there. Something. I'm not saying there's nothing, but I'm just saying any action of man that denies that death is not only it's illusory, but it's very, very destructive.
It is. I agree.
So then, why don't you die?
Why must I die? While basically, maybe that act of, say you call it death, selfness.
Yeah,
it is death from all these chains that we are basically wearing.
No, for me, it's not maybe. That is death. And it has tremendous beauty in it. Because all this that we call beauty, right, is only possible through death. Through not being there. I mean, we are appreciating it because it wasn't there. The same way you appreciate life because, you were not there, kind of. So there seems to be some sort of renewal process to death. When you allow death, everything is seen by you as new, constantly. You see your wife, that's someone new.
Mm-hmm.
You see a flower, you just discover it's like a kid. Those kids, when they look at things, somehow they feel like it's always, they're always amazed by what they're looking at until they gather enough knowledge, which they call me. Which is
influenced by us, actually.
Yeah. When we teach them to develop the self, not only because it's necessary, we need mathematics, we need science, all of that, but we don't teach them the other side of death. So we give them traumas and we encourage them to keep them forever.
So how do you remedy such? By dying.
Yeah, by dying. You first. Do you want to teach while yourself? So this is what I call standing alone. It's a very serious exercise. And I think maybe there's a fear of doing that, probably because that's like you have the risk of being banned, being an outcast. You can't stand alone in this life. And if you are, you have to be hypocritical about it at least.
I think, of course, as a human beings are social beings.
Mm-hmm.
But standing alone means what?
Death. That's exactly the same. Yeah. Standing alone means, that's why we even gather in groups. It's better for survival, better for food. So anything even within yourself psychologically, right? Mm-hmm. Standing alone is when you're really going to that death.
Okay.
So then what will you do to them? I want you to die today before we leave.
Show me first. Show me first. This is triggering, eh? Show me first.
No, it's triggering because I mean, it's like we are not serious in a way because we won't do a thing if we are not promised something. We are a risk and reward species. I do this for that. So then now someone comes and says, well, you're doing this for nothing. Actually, all that is will not be like, what the heck is this man talking about? Which could be very, very magical. But you just can't take that step. You need assurance. You need knowledge. You need to know.
I agree. But I ask you again, why don't you do it yourself?
Maybe I am. How would you know? See, this is why proof is no longer relevant when we reach this kind of levels.
I hear you,
The
but
proof
how
can't-
do we then learn? How do you impart knowledge?
Yeah. Would you agree that knowledge is only possible through the act of learning?
True.
Without learning, without a certain kind of attention, you can't accumulate any knowledge.
You can't accumulate knowledge
Without attention, without awareness, kind of.
True.
Yeah. So it seems like we come in this world with that innate depth, that's which I'm talking about, that innate attention, which allows all this accumulation. And then later on in life, we get attached to the accumulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we form our identities and all that. But it's easy to learn. It's easy to die. It's just by listening. For instance, listening is very free.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything to listen.
Truly so.
Yeah.
And God was very awesome to give us 2 ears.
Yeah, same as seeing, feeling. Thinking is what giving you directions, is narrowing down your wholeness. Because with thinking, I talk about a toe, you directing your
Yeah.
feeling to the toe. So thinking, every time you are thinking, you are jumping, right? Small pieces and pieces.
True.
And you don't want to stop that.
How would you exist without?
You don't.
You don't.
Something else is. And by all means, when I say something else, don't reach for it. Don't start thinking about So I guess what I'm saying, this is our trap. This is the human dilemma, which I guess is the reflection of all
mess
human
we are
conflicts.
Oh. So how do you resolve it?
I think I'm attempting. By
Yes, you are.
yeah, by talking first. Talking and listening. Because you see, what's happening in you is not so different from what's happening in me. You only think it's different because you've built up all these different knowledges. And you really feel separate. But if you really look at it, there's no difference. You're literally looking at yourself.
Human beings are the same. Human beings are the same.
So I think my struggle with this is, I wonder, that's why I was asking you with your business, because that's what I consider righteousness. This, seeing your own evil in action, which automatically gives you goodness. So the seeing of your limitation is the jumping of the limitation. See what I mean? So with your business, having this kind of very, very attentive mind probably would give you passion, maybe more than what you have. But how do you not corrupt that? Because business is a harsh world. It's a man-made thing. And you need some...
You need to make profit.
Yeah. You need
and
to...
for you to make profit, the
you
second
need to
thing
make
is you have to
decisions that are very
Very harsh.
human-like. Yeah. So that's why I was saying maybe that's where the hypocrisy comes in. If you're really righteous, if you're gonna survive in this world, you have to be a little bit hypocritical, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I have a question, if you don't mind. I don't know if maybe we can put about cigarette smoking.
Yeah, okay.
You mind talking about that?
No, I don't.
All right. Why do you smoke?
It's addiction.
Why? What pain are you trying to hide from that? Because I mean, smoking is when you go smoke, it's pleasurable, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, much pleasurable.
It's a silly habit.
Yeah. So
Actually, not good.
yeah, I know. It's I mean, I guess every habit is bad, but I'm just trying to see through that process, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, by the way, I think that's the best way to stop any addiction by
By dying from.
dying from that. But you have to look at why you do that in the first place. So why the running away from the pain? Because pleasure is literally the attempt to run away from a certain kind of pain.
From the start, I don't know how to put it. Nicotine is addictive. Yet it's possible to stop, but it's a painful process.
Mhm.
I guess out of every addiction, to move out of it, you should be prepared mentally to suffer.
Yeah. You must.
Maybe this, what we just discussed,
Yeah.
will trigger that process of me
Yeah.
quitting.
Yeah. Don't. I think it should. If you're really serious
Yeah,
about
I
it.
am.
Yeah.
I am.
And by all means, I'm not judging. Everyone has an addiction one
Yeah.
way or another. Some it's coffee, some some go to sleep. I'm always amazed by people that sleep in churches 4 days in a week.
It's
What
madness.
kind of addiction is that?
It's madness.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has his own addiction.
True.
And the way I look at it, it feels like, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's the start of that addiction is the trigger, is the important part. You have to understand why you started that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So, a man who smokes is either he's copying, because maybe you're a kid, you see someone smoking, so therefore you copy it. But what gets you addicted is the pleasure of it. It's very much pleasurable. It gives you a certain kind of
There's a
different-
kick
yeah,
that you get from
yeah.
smoking, yes.
So it seems like we've gotten used to this life, we call it mundane. Being there without any sort of pleasure is painful.
I agree.
So life has become painful for us,
Hence, we have all these things.
the distractions. Hence we have this. I mean, even what we're doing here. So that pain, although it has a very deep source, which we talked about, but I find it very hard to escape from it through pleasure. So through pleasure, you're running away from the pain, and then eventually, when now the pleasure is no longer, because every pleasure is pain at the end. No matter what pleasure you take,
It's harmful.
you can't have one without the other.
True.
So accumulating all these pleasurable events, you have to pay back all that pain you've been running away
True.
from all these years. So yet you don't want to even start. You don't even want to try and stop the pleasure-seeking movement.
I do. I've tried it before.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's possible to stop.
It's possible. You say it's possible. I
I've done it
believe so.
before.
You've stopped before.
Yes.
Then you got back into it,
But I got back into it.
which is the very essence of addiction.
I think the narrowness of allowing
Mm.
these things you've just spoken of to
Mm.
they swallow you. So instead of dying from such moment, you need something to help you to move.
Mm.
Laziness.
Yeah, it's laziness. It's mental laziness.
Yes, I agree.
And they've taught us to be lazy from day one. All this marketing,
All of it.
yeah, to be lazy.
It's worse now with the social media, not?
Yeah.
Worse.
I've noticed because I really fought this thing, this social media, especially the shorts and all these things that involve you literally paying attention for only 30 seconds. I fought it for a second, and then gradually I could see now how it got to me.
Mm.
And it's almost a reflex. When you wake up, the first thing is this, you
You
have
have
to
to
run away to something. So mostly work, did I miss a message? But after that, it's politics, whatever, anything that can distract you. So you see, it's not, and it's really dangerous because now, you see what we were talking about requires tremendous attention.
It does.
Yeah, it really requires you to see what
It
life
does.
is. Yeah. So now imagine it's narrowing our attention span. You can't watch something for more than 30 seconds. See, like what we do here, for someone to watch an entire discussion of 2 hours, it's agony.
It is.
It's pain.
It is.
Which means he will never even have a chance to learn
That's
something.
where the conundrum is. This is essential for humans to understand and to even allow yourself a moment to just listen without anything, and then you observe in your existence.
Mm.
Oh, maybe that can assist in this way. Maybe, I get it. Even I remember you sent me the link the other time. I'm like, how the hell am I going to watch such a long thing?
Mhm.
But it triggered my mind. So I sat, I watched it. Then I was still at work. When I got home, I watched the entire thing. Interesting, yes.
Mm. So I think perhaps maybe be accustomed to facing the pains that you're running away from.
That's essential.
Mm.
Be aware of your existence, your environment, your behaviors. Follow much more of the behaviors that help you raise the bar from the bar you hit yesterday. Interesting. Actually, now I have something to talk about with my patrons.
Your
The
patron.
patrons, yeah.
Yeah.
At selected few, of course.
Now if it's so hard for you to even do it, can you imagine how hard it is to find another man who can do it with you? It's very tricky. I think that's why I think many people fall in this trap of the elite. So few selected individuals manage to be really serious about life, and then they form groups,
True.
which is the falling back again in the trap. See, the very second you start creating small groups, cults.
From the,
You see, you are denying the wholeness again. You are introducing things. You are running away from nothing again.
So let's go back. When certain human beings would not even show interest in what you do, what you then do.
See, now that's where passion comes in. You see, there's one thing you can be passionate about cooking. You can be passionate about painting.
Mhm.
Some even killing people. We have some cycles like that. But it's entirely different to be passionate about living itself. Not the different variations of lives, how we've divided ourselves into the science world, the art world, the cooking world, all that. So seeing the entirety of life with that attention, you've got a totally different energy, a totally different passion, which can't allow you to see another man running away from this and just let him be. So you will not abandon your brothers, as stubborn as they are. And by the way, they're very powerful. They make your life a hell, but you can't abandon.
True. So that's where the passion must kick in, you said.
That's the real passion.
True.
Yeah.
Well put. I agree.
So maybe you have that passion, and see, because I've always been interested. For me, I look at life in such a general way that I find it very hard to have like different, I have interests like basketball, some word in economics as well a little bit, but mostly it's this, right? So I've always wondered, for an individual that is good at something, let's say you're good at running a business, right? And you have just snippets of this, I wonder how that would turn out. But I think there's a lot of goodness that can come from them. Well, I hope at this, I hope. Otherwise, I don't see that. If that living without that passion is a very complicated way of living.
It's empty.
Yeah.
It's empty space.
Yeah, it's empty the way we describe empty. Or we could just say it's too full. You're too full of yourself, too full of things gone. There's nothing new in it. You're stuck in the past.
That's a polite way of putting it.
That's a polite way. So, do you notice, because you meet so many different people, right?
Yeah, I do.
You've got a very special crowd there. Do you see any difference in them, like how they approach life?
Whole lot.
Yeah.
Whole lot.
What would you say makes them different? What shapes them into being different beings? Maybe kinder or maybe angrier?
Different factors. One major one is human beings who think they are superior or they are above another. Right? Second, it's human beings that come from nothingness, like you say. By nothing, I don't mean, say, less privileged backgrounds. So they had achieved certain things in life, therefore they can't be associated with anything that portrays them in a certain way. Others took shortcuts in life, so they live with the guilt of having done something wrong. So they don't know how to address the other human being because of
the baggage.
Yes. Others, just human beings that live with no purpose. Yes.
And since
others, it's people that are referred to as wannabe.
The con artist.
The con artist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said alcohol. So alcohol has that effect on liberating a little bit. Do you ever see any change when they, not when they drunk, but when they relax a little bit? Maybe the luggage is not that heavy. Do you see any change? Do you see that there's goodness in that liberation?
Yeah.
But
how do I participate?
Yeah. No, not how do you participate. Do you, as you talk to them, as you see them, do you see them being liberated, at least momentarily?
Yes.
By doing that?
Yes.
and you make profits out of those small liberations of people, I guess. That's how you make money.
No, I follow my passion, so my passion pays me. I used to do it for free.
Yeah.
Now I monetized it, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So, if you
Yes, I do see a difference.
you see a difference.
Yeah. That is why you see the whole establishment. There is no place where you say VIP, what, whatever the case is.
Yeah, that's nice.
And if you have realized, I don't sit with only certain type of clientele. I sit with everyone.
Yeah.
For as long as your energy is not heavy, then we can interact.
And it seems everyone I think that's why it's so important to be responsible, serious in the manner that we talked before. Because I can literally see your attitude reflects with the whole crowd. Seems like you guys have formed some sort of
One class.
community.
Funny how, no, we come from different aspects of life.
Yeah.
So one of my little wishes or prayers was one day I'll have an establishment where we will all understand that you're human. As we walk in here, we need a relief from our daily rat race. And at the start, it wasn't easy. The egos were. But how I think we managed to have formed that community, it is the approach which I would say I lead when it comes to that. I don't only say things and act otherwise. Live from within to the outside. That's why you see there is that community.
So you see, you alone, I think you can bring in a lot of change. Forget about others. It's a homework. It's a personal job. It feels like to bring order.
Which is heavy.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, I can. I'm actually triggered. I'm excited, by the way.
So, because I've noticed it, it's really like people tend to really feedback on how you approach the whole business itself.
True.
Because not only you approach pretty much every table, you kind of know all your clients one way or another, and then you give that energy, that freedom, that understanding. So perhaps you're in a place of privilege in terms of helping.
I think so. That I accept.
Yeah, so maybe die and kill all those people along the
That would have make it, it would be such a great deal.
Yeah, the same way you alone can, how you've affected the whole. Because, I mean, that's a space, that's a point in space that you've managed to put a certain kind of drive, and it seems harmonious.
True.
Now, with just you alone, with your thinking and your actions and all that, I think you don't need 100 people to be like you. It just takes 2, 3 to really expand now.
True.
Yeah, before you realize it, now there are more points in space. Perhaps you can reach here. Perhaps you can reach our brothers in the Kenya or the Congo or the Antarctica. And it has to be done in such a way, so subtle, that the established order doesn't step on you, because it has to step on you eventually. I mean, you are danger. You are playing with established order.
It's possible.
Well, good luck.
It's possible.
I wish you all the best.
It's a mammoth task, but I'll take it on.
Isn't that, I mean, I think for me the most impossible, when you ask for the most impossible, you can see the impossible, but if you're still stuck in what the possible, it's very tricky. The problem with these, one thing I've noticed, it's very hard. People are so conditioned. They have so much knowledge and they've listened, they've heard so many versions of what is being said. So they don't see the actuality of what's behind the word.
Mm.
So they get
True.
stuck in the sentimentality of the phrases, not the actuality of it.
They know. There's nothing more painful than a person who knows everything, but you're still alive.
Yeah.
Why are you alive if you have outlived everything that exists?
No, knowledge is a very big burden.
Ego, decoration, check Waterstand, the attitude that comes from that.
Mm.
Check a whole lot. I'm a doctor. You can't address me by, I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
Who are you before being a doctor?
Yeah.
So
the name is not sufficient. The name itself already is a tag. Now you put another tag.
Becomes a heavy.
Or His Excellency.
His Excellency. No. So one of my biggest approaches here in the business, I don't mean what I don't say. I don't say what I don't mean. And I'm fearless. You can be the president, you can be whoever. Here we're all human beings. So if you want to be obeyed, say, get back to your office. Where will be served like a key? Here. It's home for all of us. That's why we eat from the same plates. That's why we dish from the same menu, drink from the same bottle. Because I fully understand that human beings are the same. And if you relate to every client from human level, then you have won a battle, I think. But that, what you've just spoken about, it's possible, and let's do it.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm doing it. I've been doing it for...
When I say let's do it, I don't mean... Yeah. I'm very impressed, actually. This is massive. When I say let's do it, we can take it to much exposure with those ones who are exposed who will figure it out.
Yeah. It's as much as I had the whole idea of elite, but I think it's for the few. Because the few, no one wants to die, that's for sure.
True.
And also, I mean, here you become your own teacher. You're your own teacher. There's no one who's going to stand with you there and say that you're doing well. You're facing your demons there. So you're the teacher and the student. That's really standing alone. So, I mean, that's asking too much. That's why I'm impressed. As a businessman, I mean, that's... you got to be bipolar. you got to deal with the same symptoms, yeah.
True. You bipolar, maybe so. That's why many business people are so arrogant.
Yeah. They have to.
I don't believe in arrogance.
I think that's rather stupid, being arrogant.
It is.
It's
narrow.
I mean, it's childish.
It's narrow. Interesting. So, to your audience, I would suggest there's a book. I told you about this book before.
Which one?
The Seat of the Soul.
The Seeds of the Soul.
Yes.
By who?
Gary Zukav.
Yeah, what's it about?
The seat of the soul. Your existence as a human being. The dininess that you're talking of.
You see, here now, that's where I burn all the books. I kill all the masters and the saviors. That's how serious you gotta be to stand alone. Understand the importance of proper knowledge, like through the reading. But here we are dealing with something entirely different.
I believe it's a building block to what you say.
It's a building block.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
I believe. Just run through it. It's awesome. It's a building block, and I think it touches on this fact. I even have, my mind is racing.
Is what? Racing?
Yeah, I feel like I haven't done anything in my life. Interesting.
That's
Interesting.
I wish as far as I'm concerned, the business world, I'm also inside. I try my best, but I'm an entrepreneur. And for a man to actually have a running business that is successful, it's something to be applauded. Yeah. So it's not that you haven't done nothing entirely, but that which you've done is nothing really. It's rather childish. Making a good business, making money, being a president, all that is, you're not. If you look at life with that passion, then you see creation.
I believe so.
Then there's action, not reaction.
I believe so.
So you live life in entirely different. You suffer more.
You do.
Yeah, but you really, now you can say you're living. So maybe try to combine those, because for me, as far as I'm concerned, I've tried. There's always a clash. Dealing with the day-to-day life,
It's challenging.
clash. Yeah, it's challenging. It's normal. Life is conflict.
It
But
is
that
a
is
conflict indeed.
that is the relief. The seeing
But
of
find
how,
a balance.
the seeing of how life is created. Not imagine that. Not read, not recall what has been written, but actually see it.
I would love you, I, and this gentleman, Wenyika. He comes quite often and he loves sitting alone. Let's pick your brain with him.
Who is that? One of your clients?
Yeah.
I'm always open. So I think, Brennan, we've exhausted our time, right?
We're still at 1:44.
1:44. Yeah. Yeah. If you want to go on, but I think that's what I wanted to do with you. See, most of the things that I do, the discussions themselves, they kind of come to me really. That's why I don't devise a plan on, like, right, we talk about this and that. So all that you've heard literally came from you. I was learning as much as I was, I guess, teaching. So we haven't been a teacher and student here. It's been a discovery. That's the contact with the new. So when I saw you running that business and you had all that, contact with so much human activity, so many different minds, I felt it's a responsibility to have someone who has that privilege to at least see the seriousness of life. It's you can do probably much more than I can. So that's why I started the discussion. And funny enough, I never looked for it. You somehow brought all that. You came to me and all that.
Yeah.
So if you have any last words, please, you can say them. Otherwise, we can just call it a day.
I've got a lot. Oh, okay, all I can say is...
No, say as much as you wish.
No, I've got a lot. All I can say is I'm grateful. Actually, I feel honored that today I've learned something. Not that any other day I don't learn, but this is unique in a way. And I appreciate more so because I can impart the same knowledge, which comes with a massive exercise for me. So let's do it.
No, we're doing it then. And it's, that's why I'm saying it's passion. There's no proof of what I'm talking about except the rational thinking that we've been exercising here. That we can do, the talking. That is our point of contact. We put ideas together, we meet, But since we're talking about where ideas vanish, you will never come and say, look, now I've got it. You can maybe talk about an experience that you've gotten, the epiphany of it, which some call, enlightenment and all that. But I feel it's people shouldn't really give too much importance to the experience. There's a certain doing of it, and it should be able to reflect through your daily life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Then you know it's actual.
Exactly.
So thanks a lot, Bank.
Interesting. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for being with us. Most of you already know what the channel is about. By the way, it's called Mirror Mind. The
Mirror
idea
Mind.
is to see that what you're looking at is you.
Mirror Mind.
Yeah, so see you next time, and thank you.